Be talking about UFC 249. Now, this card is being billed right now as the greatest card in UFC history.
From top to bottom.
From top to bottom. Now, I will tell you, this is a fantastic card. But I would have to also say that I think that's being a little bit overblown, and we're taking advantage of the fact that
who's billing it that way?
Obviously, you know who's billing it that way. The UFC is calling.
Okay, well, they want people to tune in.
They want people to, and I don't blame them. Obviously, I don't blame them.
Who's going to say this isn't a very good card?
Well, but here's the thing. The reason why it's even worth discussing is because it is a really freaking good card. Which
you've been saying since it was announced.
Right. So
before they made some changes.
Right. But it warrants. Now, it did lose something because Amanda Nunes is not on the card anymore. But it warrants some examination to the validity of this claim, because it is actually good enough to not completely dismiss that concept.
Was she on the original card, the one that was going to possibly take place in California?
I don't think she was on that card. This thing has changed so many times. Okay. At one point, Rose Namajunas was on the card in the rematch with Jessica Andrade.
Which you love that fight.
I love that fight. That got wiped because unfortunately Rose experienced multiple deaths in her family due to COVID-19. So she was pulled off the card, or she removed herself from the card. The Amanda Nunes removal, that was an entirely different situation. She was set to, it's a lot going on. So as it is right now, the early prelims are good enough to be mid-level prelims on most cards. Ryan Spann against Sam Alvey, Bryce Mitchell against Charles Rosa, Vicente Luque against Nico Price. I'm going to actually go over and preview and give my predictions. We're going to give the odds courtesy of Bet Online for each one of these bouts. We're going to do that in separate videos. As I mentioned, you need to make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube so you can see those as separate breakout videos.
And to that point, for those out there that are going to put some action, number one, Brian's usually spot on. Number two, Bet Online has the best odds, including all the prop bets for this card as well. So you're going to want to check those breakout videos, because you're going to get some value there. Instead of just sitting home watching the fights, now you'll be able to have some action on there as well.
Absolutely. And so then when you go into those mid-level prelims, then that's when you really start to see the overall value of the card. Uriah Hall against Jacare, Carla Esparza against Michelle Waterson, Aleksei Oleinik, who actually lives out by you, against Fabrício Werdum, Anthony Pettis against Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone.
Is he training American Top Team?
I believe so. Honestly, I think I'm pretty positive his daughter goes to school out, unfortunately, at Parkland. So
really,
That's
where my son was there during that. So
during that time. So his daughter goes to the school there. So that's why I said he's out there by you.
Sure.
And then the main card is insane. Greg Hardy against Yorgan de Castro, Jeremy Stevens against Calvin Kattar. We got Francis Ngannou against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Henry Cejudo against Dominick Cruz, and then you top it off with Tony Ferguson against Justin Gaethje. This is a sick card, just absolutely bananas. But I cannot say that this is better than, if you got to go back some, so not that far, but you got to go back a few, I think it's 2 years. If you take a look at, it is UFC 217, headlined by Georges St. Pierre against Michael Bisping.
Right.
I gotta say that's still the best card. I mean, I gotta just go over some of the people that are on this card. That's the main event. So we saw Georges St. Pierre win the middleweight title. Right. We saw TJ Dillashaw defeat Cody Garbrandt in the co-main event in just a firefight. Rose Namajunas defeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Sure.
So we had 3 world title fights there, but it doesn't even stop there. We also saw Stephen Wonderboy Thompson defeat Jorge Masvidal on that card. Paulo Costa knocks out Johnny Hendricks. We got James Vick, Joseph Duffy, Mark Godbeer against Walt Harris, Ovin St. Preux against Corey Anderson, Randy Brown beats Mickey Gall. Curtis Blades actually beat Aleksei Oleinik. So Aleksei Oleinik was on that card as well. And then you have Ayman Zahabi losing to Ricardo Ramos. There really was no dead spot from a overall standpoint for UFC 217. So if you ask me, UFC 217 is still the standard bearer for the top cards, but UFC 249 is definitely doing a really solid job bringing mixed martial arts and combat sports back to people overall. So.
Well, Brian, when you have, the majority of the top mixed martial artists in the world under contract, you can make these great fights. It's really in Dana White's decision-making wheelhouse to say, you know what, I'm just going to stack this card. And I'm sure he sits back and says, man, I could really stack this card, but you know what, let me pull back and let me save these 2 fights for this card, trying to kind of level it out. So have consistently great fights. Because look, we've seen boxing, Matt, we've seen cards where they've been less than we've seen a show where it's very top heavy.
Yeah.
Charles Martin and Gerald Washington. It. I was thinking that. I wasn't going to say it because I don't like to insult anybody, but I was thinking that was the co-feature for Wilder Fury too. But here's the thing, and no knock on them, but they also have to understand that when we're talking from star power, what the UFC is doing in this show is they're basically now, considering they're doing 3 shows in a week. Okay, they're throwing as much as they can to keep people, get people excited that they're back, and really get them tuned in, get as many eyeballs there as possible, because a card like this could probably have warranted 10 to 15,000 people in an arena.
Easy. Easy. They could have sold out more than that. They could have sold out like a football stadium in the right country with this card for sure. So yeah, that goes.
And I'm looking forward to seeing your picks. Got to do unique Mazique's best bets.
I got to do it.